Lufia 2 was one of those JRPGs that flew under most people's radar, especially in the shadow of titles like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. Present day, the speedrunning community for Lufia 2 is very much alive, mainly centered around this obscure minigame called the Ancient Cave. But there's a few less popular categories out there for the main game as well, including one that allows runners to do tricks like this. We're going to dive into how speedrunners beat Lufia 2 in just 51.9 seconds by making their characters level 0. Before I get into this, I ran a poll about a month ago asking about what games you'd like to see here, and clearly Lufia 2 did not win. However, I didn't want to just shove Final Fantasy content down your throats, so I'm going to go against the crowd on this one and give Final Fantasy the thumbs down this time. Back on topic, Lufia 2 is actually a prequel to Lufia and the Fortress of Doom, and Lufia 2 tells the tale of Maxim and how he and his band of companions saved the world from the Sinistrals, which are deities that claim to rule over the land. On the speedrunning side of things, the No Major Glitches run goes through most of the game without too much deviance from the intended route. In this breakdown, we're going to cut out most of that. If you want to watch a No Major Glitches run, I linked the world record by a runner named Zheal in the description below. Understanding why this glitch lets runners beat the game so quick requires us to take a look at its origins. This glitch wasn't one that was hard to find. In fact, it is said that most people who found the glitch did so shortly after the game released. In casual gaming circles on the internet, word was spread around emails, chat groups, and even a guide on game FAQs in 1998. Activating the glitch is so easy that if you have a copy of Lufia 2, you could even do it yourself right now. Make sure your Maxim is at level 2 and not at 31 max HP. Go into the menu and into the configuration, put your cursor on music, press left, and exit. It's that easy. That is, if you just want level 0. If you save and reset, you get random stats applied to your character you did the glitch with, and for the most part, the characters end up with much higher stats than before. This by itself can be used to help the runner beat the game faster, but it's not quite under the 1 minute we were looking for. Looking at a brief history of runs early on to see where our starting point is, not much is known about the early days of Lufia 2 any% speedrunning, but a runner named C. Vaggots posted on game FAQs asking how to do the level 0 glitch and was trying to get through the game with it. He was able to get a time of 4 hours, 2 minutes, and 33 seconds back on May 15th, 2013, being one of the first full single segment runs still online today. Another runner named Happy Squid actually improved this a little bit later on to be a 3 hour, 17 minute, and 33 second time on January 8th, 2014. So these runs are pretty good, and Happy Squid's 317 is faster than the current No Major Glitches world record today. Both of these runs use the level 0 glitch to get extremely high stats on Maxim and basically followed what the No Major Glitches run did. But at the same time, we're clearly missing something here. The title of the video said under 1 minute. And personally, I don't want to be accused of clickbaiting. So let's go forward a few months to June 13th, 2014 and take a look at the progress that was being made. This is Zheal Unit, and he was able to complete the game in 41 minutes and 42 seconds. Now that's definitely closer to the 1 minute mark than Happy Squid's time, but how did he do it? Cutting the run down to a fifth of what it previously was had to have taken something incredible. A while back, Zheal had found another glitch that worked with the level 0 glitch called the Corrupted Name glitch. At the time, it wasn't really worth mentioning because no one thought it did anything, but it actually has some really interesting attributes and uses. Before we talk about that, let's see how much of the world it cuts out. All runners have to do now is get the Ruby Apple and reach Clemento to make use of the new glitch. In order for this glitch to trigger, your second byte for your current HP value needs to be between 128 and 255. This can be HP values 128 through 255, 384 through 511, 640 through 767, and 896 through 999. When it's one of these values and you do the level 0 glitch again, that's when it corrupts your name. This is because the game inserts that second byte of your HP into your name, and any value above 127 will corrupt it. It's also worth noting that the trick doesn't work with all of the eligible values for some reason. This by itself doesn't cause anything groundbreaking, but if you set up based on specific criteria, like when a character says your name, the game shows hello Uxer Bevibu Errol Be Myself. Less importantly, it presents you with 128 different event triggers. These event triggers can be used for multiple things: getting characters, activating cutscenes, and triggering the final dialogue scene for the credits. For this specific one, Zheal needed to get to the town of Clemento and talk to the red-haired lady in the cafe. Using basically the same route, a seasoned runner named Voltuz brought the time down to a 35:54 on October 8, 2014. While these are amazing achievements, this is still 34 minutes and 55 seconds higher than the sub 1 minute time you all clicked for. Just a few days later, on October 11th, Zheal was able to bring down the record again. But there was something different about this run. It didn't simply cut down a few minutes. It actually cut out the entire 10-minute counter on the final time. Zheal had gotten a 7-minute and 28-second time using a new route that used a warp trigger from an interaction in El Cid to end up in Clemento, then talking to the red-haired woman for the final cutscene. So what could possibly be next to cut out here? Well, there is this ruby apple that's required to get to the proper part of the story for the trigger list provided in Clemento, and since an apple a day keeps the doctor away, Zheal graciously decided to get rid of it in the route so I could actually finish this video. Changing around the route to go into the intro dungeon to get Guy into the party sets things up differently, and Zheal gets a 5:36 on January 11th, 2015. The fastest time would actually go back and forth between Voltuz and Zheal until a 5:23 was obtained on April 29th, 2015 by Zheal. We're just a little over 5 minutes off now, so where does the next big time save come from? Here's Magus, and he introduced an alternative way to warp into the endgame for the community. Voltuz was able to use this, and he got a 4:56 on April 30th, 2015. That same day, Zheal not only used the new route to do this faster with the 3-minute and 30-second run, but he worked out another one that never left El Cid to get to the game's report card in the post-credits scene. This one was much faster, being timed to 2 minutes and 15 seconds after the final input. However, the community determined that these runs that warped to the post-game stats screen would not count as true any % runs since they didn't unlock retry mode afterwards. I still wanted to include these as they were the fastest completions of the game at the time, regardless of the rules that were instated. Now that we're actually a minute and some change off, we're going to need to bring in the big guns.
That's right, we're going to cheat.
Tool-assisted speedruns are on the furthest edge of innovation in the community, with runners typically using an emulator to advance frame by frame for essentially perfect play. There were some tasks made by Ventus and Zheal during the push to the current best time, and Zheal decided to continue with that in both the credits trigger and game report card versions of the run. Out of all of those, on June 2nd, 2015, Zheal completed a task with a time of 1 minute and 55 seconds, just under 1 minute away from putting the glitch category 6 feet under. So who would be the one to break the 1 minute barrier? Would Zheal find a new route and take the gold? Would Voltuz fight his way back in with another improvement for the community? Believe it or not, neither of them would technically do it first. Veteran taster Janisto, who had task runs of Super Mario Bros. 3, Bucky O'Hare, and others, would swoop in with something incredible. With the power about some like has, he was able to trigger the final cutscene in just 57 seconds on July 4th of 2015. But how was he able to manage all of that? Remember all the rules about level 0 and the name glitch I mentioned earlier? Throw all of that out the window. Janisto knew that getting to level 2 was pretty slow, and in order to get sub 1, he would need something completely outside the box. Welcome to inventory corruption. The technical explanation has to do with weird applications of the cursor memory via a miscalculation. In a nutshell, if you do some obscure menuing, you can corrupt the inventory and corrupt your player name shortly after, thus being able to access the event trigger options and warping to the final cutscene. So with the task getting the first sub 1 minute, what about the real-time side of things? On September 27th, 2015, Zheal would do what was considered impossible just a few years ago. A 59.25, just barely hitting the mark. But at the end of the day, a 59 is still a 59. With the first 59 attained, where does the record sit today? Well, there were some improvements made to the menuing, and Happy Squid 89 made his return to the massive glitch gauntlet with the 55-second run on February 3rd of 2017. Zheal would also fire back with a couple new world records himself, landing a 52-second run on the same day. But the last hurrah would actually go to Happy Squid 89 though, with him obtaining a 51 on February 6th thanks to some more slight optimizations. Almost 5 years later, that's actually where the record sits to this day. Not everyone thinks of glitches like this to be the most entertaining or fun to watch. For some though, the desire to take a game to its absolute limits means using whatever means necessary to accomplish that feat. The effort put in by the community and runners to break Lufia 2's 1-minute barrier spanned over half a decade, and maybe with a little more time, we'll see even more amazing accomplishments come out of the community. Keep being hydrated, folks, and thanks for watching.